his presidential ambitions, or is it all just nonsense and everybody needs to stop being so hyperbolic? Is democracy on the ballot in 2024? We're going to start today with, you know what, actually, let's go with Actual Justice Warrior.
All right, great. Thank you. So the question of is democracy is on the ballot is honestly a bit ridiculous in my opinion. It is not on the ballot for this election. And if my opponents are going to argue the contrary, they're going to have to explain exactly why the mechanisms of our government are going to be overthrown if presumably Trump gets elected. The fact of the matter is our government is the longest consistent government currently going in world history at this moment in time. We have been through a bunch of different controversial elections. We have been through a Trump presidency already. So these guys are going to have to explain what would be different about Trump winning in 2024 that was different from him winning in 2016.
Okay, I'm going to now throw it over to Hutch.
I actually wrote out kind of a lengthy opener. Is that okay, or do you want it more concise?
To 2 minutes, under 2 minutes is usually where we go. 2:30 I'll allow, but like don't go like excessive.
Okay, let me just try to get through as much as possible. So I do in fact think that democracy is on the ballot in 2024, even if the threats it faces aren't necessarily immediate. I would like to focus on what lies do to a democracy. It's impossible to have a healthy, functional democracy if the electorate is aggressively misinformed. When you have a misinformed electorate that are angry enough about the lies they've been told, events like January 6th become more and more likely. One person in particular has misinformed his voters more than any president that has ever come before him. Everybody on this panel knows that every politician lies to one degree or another. Omission, exaggeration, embellishment, and hyperbole are all standard practices for any politician. But Trump is not your average politician, and the brazenness of his lies put him in an entirely separate universe. He lies about the weirdest, most unnecessary, easily disprovable things, such as he started his presidency with a lie about his crowd sizes. He claimed that the clouds parted and it stopped raining as he started speaking at his inauguration. He used a Sharpie pen to elongate the projected path of a hurricane, claims that windmill noise causes cancer. He lied about being Michigan's Man of the Year. These are just the silly lies, but I think they give you a sense of who he is. He's clearly demonstrated that he has no regard whatsoever for the truth. His instinct every time he opens his mouth is self-aggrandizement. And to that end, he is willing to do and say whatever pops into his head at any given moment for any given topic. The truth simply does not matter to him at all. The spirit of democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And if the people are angry, confused, and misinformed, you are throwing about 10,000 wrenches into a system that was designed with bipartisan efforts in mind. It's simply impossible to work together with a group of people that live in a totally different reality crafted by their chosen leader. I had more to that, but I'll just cut it off there.
We'll get through it during the conversation. We're going to throw it now over to Cam Higbee.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump is capable of, nor do I think that he has the influence to overthrow democracy or disintegrate it in this country. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be my opening statement. I think he's, done plenty of things. He's tried to do plenty of sneaky things, and it's not worked each time. So.
Okay, we're gonna now throw it over to Destiny.
I think democracy is on the ballot. I think we are a democratic, constitutional republic. I think Donald Trump stands opposed to every single part of that system. Donald Trump does not like democracy. He wants to rule as the single executive, as the king who can make decisions that circumvents Congress or decisions that are beyond the courts. It's why he asked for criminal immunity from the Supreme Court. It's why he tries to do immigration policy and other policy through executive order. He doesn't value the legislature. I think that we are a constitutional republic. We have a constitution that all of us are supposed to answer to. Donald Trump says that when he needs to, he will terminate the Constitution. If he needs to find voter fraud, if he needs to hunt political enemies, he says that he can suspend the Constitution or terminate it and go after those people. And we are a republic where the power is vested in our representatives to make decisions for us. We are not a monarchy. We are not ruled by one man. We are supposed to have an entire legislative branch. And Donald Trump's entire political career is all centered around only staffing the government with sycophants, is only centered around trying to get people in Congress who will worship him and who will help him circumvent responsibility and the law in any way, size, shape possible. Like when he avoided his conviction in the Senate for impeachment because people, for some reason in the Senate, thought that you can't impeach a non-sitting president, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I think that Donald Trump stands opposed to every single foundational idea about our democracy, and he stands opposed to the very reasons that Sean mentioned, that our democracy is one of the longest living ones on the planet thus far.
Okay, so from there, we're going to leave it to be open for you guys to go back and forth. Who wants to grab it first?
I can grab it. I love grabbing things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a very, very simple question posed initially. I think Sean said that if we're going to say that Donald Trump represents some existential threat this time as opposed to last time, what's changed? And the thing that's changed is that Donald Trump didn't understand how any part of the government worked last time. This time he's got a slightly better understanding, so he's only picking people that will go along with him for his illegal plots instead of assuming they'll go along with him for his illegal plots like he did last time. So I think picking people like J.D. Vance, who has signaled that he would back him on any attempted coup stuff like what he tried for January 6th, I think is a good example of a meaningful change in Trump's next administration as opposed to his last one.
Okay, we're going to throw it. I want to throw, that was a response to Actual Justice Warrior, so you think you can take that?
Yeah, so I mean, you bring up January 6th, which is unsurprising. You've been doing a million, billion, zillion hours of streaming on this specific issue, so I understand that that's your go-to point. But my question is that January 6th, you know, if we take it in its worst reading, was a plot involving the electors. If Donald Trump is elected the 47th president of the United States, that will be his second term in office, which according to the 22nd Amendment, he is not eligible to run for president again. So how are you going to cite this plot that's not even possible if he wins as a mechanism for him to remain in power when he can't put himself on the ballot as per the 22nd Amendment? Again, you have to demonstrate that Donald Trump is going to be able to end democracy with the methods that are available to him. Do you think he's going to overthrow the 22nd Amendment, that Republicans are going to gain enough in the House and the Senate and statewide in order to get rid of that so he can serve for additional terms? Like, how is this plot that you're imagining in your brain going to actually work?
Two very simple things. One, he said that he doesn't like the Constitution, so he can terminate it at will. He's already said that once. I don't think he actually could do that. But the second thing, the nice thing about kings is they always have children to run their kingdom for them after they're gone. He could very easily do the same type of plot, but instead do it to get Trump Jr. in office instead of himself.
So he's going to pass it to Trump Jr. non-electorally. Like, how exactly is that going to work?
The same way that he tried to pass it to himself non-electorally, where he got people to lie and say they were electors and then try to get the VP to certify the vote in Congress.
Okay, again, but that had to do with him being on the ballot and an elector scheme, and like we all understand that.
Can his son not be on the ballot next election cycle?
Well, he wouldn't be on the ballot for the 2028 presidency. Like, so he's
why he can't run for the presidency in 2028?
Oh, his son is going to run. So if his son is elected and he wins, like, how is that ending democracy?
Well,
like,
it's not democracy if he wins. It's if they try to make him win when he didn't win, like he tried to do in 2020.
Oh, okay. I see. So you think he's going to hand it off to Don Jr. Like, that's the line that you're going with.
I mean, he could. I don't know. Why not? He tried to illegally hand it off to himself last time. Why wouldn't he do it to his son next time? Who knows?
I think all the arguments to try to prove that like democracy is going to end if Trump wins the election this year is just going to be based on conjecture. Like, I think the arguments about like Trump appointing people to government, specifically in like courts and stuff, that worship him and that will follow him into the depths of hell to get him reelected is just like not true. Like, the courts repeatedly, when he tried to like claim election fraud and stuff like that, repeatedly rejected to hear claims. They repeatedly rejected to hear appeals. Even the Supreme Court with a 6 conservative supermajority rejected to hear anything about it. So like, if it wasn't achievable last time, I highly doubt, with all of these people that are allegedly loyal to Trump in the government, even right now, I highly doubt he would ever manage to pull it off.
So I think there's a couple things here. I think like we're talking about the risk to democracy in an immediate sense. I don't think we need to limit it to just that. We can talk about ways that he could sort of chip away at democracy and lay the foundation for democracy being stress tested in the future. But I guess my question to my two conservative co-panelists here are, what is the logic around, like, first of all, do you acknowledge that he stress tested democracy in 2020? And what, if you do, what would be the logic of allowing him a second chance to try to stress test it in ways that maybe we haven't even thought of yet? Also, as a quick thing before that question is answered, just as a response to that, what was just said, first of all, the courts didn't reject him. He got more criminal immunity than he even asked for, number one. Number two, J.D. Vance is a person that he would put in that would go along with him further than Pence did. So that's an example of him picking somebody that would help him. And then number three, when we say every single judge ruled against him, they did in the election fraud case, but Judge Cannon in Florida basically tossed his entire case in Mar-a-Lago, and at the very least has succeeded in delaying it past the election. So that's not true either.
Yeah. So you could argue that they sided with him on like presidential immunity stuff, but that's literally written